Good afternoon. My name is Scott Redler, Chief Strategic Officer at T3Live.com. Welcome to today's recap. Was a crazy day today. It is Wednesday, and we had one of those huge travel ranges, where they knocked the teeth out of anybody starting or trying to be long early, and then they kind of knocked the teeth out of shorts that pressed, thinking that we were going to break below, some key levels at the first attempt. And either which way, you could have made a lot or lost a lot, depending on what side of the fence you were on. You could have even, lost a lot if you started too early with the right idea. That's why, in the morning call today, I tried to come up with a plan. I did okay. I didn't do the best job sticking with it either. In my head, I was like, okay, I could buy below 183 down to like 180, 150 or 180.50. And in my morning note, I wrote my strategy because I have all my list of stocks and levels in the strategy. I was like, I'd like to see how we react at 1820. I think you could be a buyer from 183 to 181 in the spiders, and then right around that 1820, look to see how the Russell's doing, and maybe one or two high beta names that are showing relative strength. So P.S., it didn't happen fast. It was a grind. So it didn't happen in the first hour, which would have been much easier, I think, because you would have had that, the acceleration, which a lot of people talked about on TV all over the place that we're missing, that we didn't have yet, and it didn't happen. And then instead, it just grinded and waited all the way to, I think 1 o'clock before finally I saw this flurry, which on the VTF, I'm like, hey, that was a big flurry of volume. I haven't seen that in a while. And then we had our first igniting bar, and that's when I tweeted out there saying that's the first igniting bar, of the day. Whether it, gets a big move, or whether you should just cover some shorts, or whether it'll have some commitment to it, remained to be seen. But if you acknowledged it, that could have been a turning point to get longer, or at least cover some shorts so you could short them higher. So anyway, look at the chart of the spiders and you'll see, the level I was talking about was right here going across. You go back like this in the spiders and here it is. This was your 182.40, which was the flash crash low. That was a level. And then here was 181.92, and then here was a little bit lower. Today we went as low as 181.02. So a little bit below this and right into there. And basically, for navigational purposes, we were looking at this to start the day. Could they on the open keep you below Friday's low, which was 186.20-ish or 185.50, I'm sorry. And so once we were below there, some guys actually made money short. And maybe you made $2, $3 short into support and then figured out, what was next, because what was next wound up being, a pretty big rally. So let me show you, let's talk about it for a second. Let me just show you on the 5-minute how to navigate and the thought process, because, in my chart on Twitter, I also posted, said if we get rejected at 185.50, chances are we could see 182. And in the first 15 minutes, we got rejected at 185.50, and we saw 181. And then we actually came back to it and pushed it a little bit above it, while some other sectors had some red dog reversals or whatever. So let's go back to the chart. You go to the 5-minute chart just for educational purposes for you. Okay, just to, so this was the gap down. Okay, right here. This was your gap down, and here, was your prior the prior low, which was what was this, like 185.50. That was from the Friday. So I was like, if we stay below that and can't reclaim it, chances are we can go down to 182. So here was the gap down, went a little sideways, and then you had a void from 185.50 down to this 182-ish. You had one small bounce off of it, which some of us tried to catch and probably got hit out here. And then this is what kind of created your red dog reversal, from the lower level. Pushed below, got some people thinking short, stopped some people out of the longs because 182 wasn't holding. Then you had your first igniting bar. And that was when I basically sent out the tweet saying this was your first igniting bar or igniting move of pretty much the day with some speed. Look at this, 1, 2, 3. Your biggest move in the spiders. Here, it wasn't as strong. The bars were smaller. Here was nothing, so this was your first one. And if you happen to have missed this for the first time, you made a higher low. So here was your move, here was a higher low, so this was a spot where you could have bought a little bit, and then once it cleared this pivot, you could have added, and then you had a channel all day long holding higher. So this was your afternoon move where you had your breakout, up into the gap before pulling down into the end of the day. So boom, igniting move, higher low. If you missed this, which was hard to see, this was your spot to see if you could put it in there. buy a little bit here, add a little there, take some off, sit tight, and then if it gets above this, figure out what's next. Okay, and then we pulled in a little bit towards the end of the day because people probably have some footsteps, rightly so, right? Of last Thursday, we had that big reversal, and then the next day we were down 40 handles and we all got slammed. So I think a lot of people think that could happen again, so maybe this time it doesn't happen, but that conventional wisdom hasn't worked. But the good book says take a little bit, and hopefully, things hang in there. So while the market did that igniting bar, there were some things that were stronger. The bios went green first. So look at the bios and look at the clean move in the bios. So the bios had its red dog reversal around this pivot. So in my morning note, I wrote the 273 is the low. Okay, so below it, you stay away. Above it, you try it. And this was above it, and look at the size of the move, almost right back to the 8-day. Also, the Russell. Russell did a red dog reversal well before the rest of the market. Okay, the pivots here were this. This was 97.5. Traded below, came back above, and was green well before anything else besides the bios and gave you a push up. Doesn't mean it's over, but just a divergence, decent trade. This has been very oversold, almost liquidated. Here was your first ascending channel, broke below it. Here was another one, broke below it. Okay, so down here, maybe it's a try. And it's been trying to do a heck of a lot of volume down there. I'm not going to have time to put the volume in, but so I'm long a little spiders and a little IWM. Early on in the day too, some things to look at to see whether we can get that down move first. Was Netflix going to go red after a solid report? And could Facebook break the 200-day, which was 92.50, which was the spot we were trying to short in the first half hour? And Netflix went red. It took a little time. Then Facebook broke 92.50. But then later in the day, Netflix started to get a little stronger again, and Facebook took it back, and that also helped the tape a little bit. At this point, still, the jury's out, but right now Facebook held the 200-day, so some people might be long that. And Netflix, wound up tailing all the way into the 200-day, but still a friggin' sloppy mess. So a lot of things are still a sloppy mess out there, but as an active trader, you gotta make trades here and there, but you have to wait too for the right prices. So here was a little bit of a reversal above this, and now it needs a little bit of time, I would think. Facebook gave you, let's go back to it, let's go to the 5-minute. Facebook gave you, this was what I was talking about, the 92.5 was right here, which was actually the recent lows. And, first it didn't go, and then lost it, and then, came back in, gave you a little bear flag, and then made a new low. So that was your short move for things, on the pressure side. And then what happened here? A little bit of a push above this, I guess. Hard to kind of see, but this was somewhat of a decent igniting move. We were looking at Facebook on the VTF saying, look at the decent move off the lows, and here's where it held. And then if you were looking to be long Facebook, I guess, here's when it broke this little descending channel, and then this was your confirmation that there was some strength as it then rode the 8 and 21-day all the way up to the kind of highs of the morning. It's okay, Freddie, I'm taking the 445. Just me talking to my video guy that I'm going to miss this ferry. I'm going to take the next one because I think that a lot of people need the extra content and strategy. And again, I'm not reading off of a teleprompter. I'm just going with what we saw throughout the day and how it unfolded. And hopefully you navigated it well. And some of us could have done it better or not, or etc. So let's back to Facebook. Here was the quick little short. I was trying to be short this thing. Into the open while I saw Netflix go red. I saw some things go red, broke the 92.50, the 200-day, gave you a quick move lower. I took it a little early, and then this was that extra move down, and then here is when it turned into a long and gave you a decent trade back up. Two different nice size ranges, and it actually traded into the gap here, which gave you an extra move. So now we'll see what happens, tomorrow. I didn't go with Amazon or Google, which I hardly go with them anyway because they're so loose and wide. I thought perhaps they would get to their 200-day because some other of the quality names did. So they didn't. They reversed, and now we'll see if it's just a decent trade for some. Another little red dog reversal here. It did it here. Little follow through failed, and now it did it here again from a lower level above the 200-day. So now we'll see if this 8-day continues to be the resistance line, which is, I guess, has a little bit of room there till there. Google, also big reversal today. Both held above the 200-day, and again, right in front of the 8-day, so we'll see if that changes, or anything changes there. Apple, I had bids in at 92.50 while the chaos was going on. It didn't get there. It did reverse, hung in there somewhat, helped the NASDAQ actually go green before everything else. So still above the flash crash lows, and a little bit of a red dog reversal into this area. It's still controlled by this 8-day moving average. Maybe at some point, it clears this for a better trade. But until something like that happens, stick to the trend. Oil was stressed out all day, and then finally lifted a little bit in the afternoon, which lifted some other things. Those of you who've been trading the hardest thing in the world to trade, okay, you're playing with fire. When this broke above this, that's when oil probably broke, who knows, below, I don't know, 38 or 32, whatever it was, and it's had a crazy move since. It doesn't have to stop, but again, I wouldn't be buying it. It's extended, but oil hit 26 and change. So if oil was going to 21, you could get annihilated trying to catch a top there, especially if you can't handle the pain. And now it seems like from 30, the law of round numbers, it went a little bit, I think, below 26, bounced off it. So now maybe you'll see if you get any kind of move higher for this to come in a little bit. But if you're having trouble with this and it's too fast, then get the hell away from it. So with all that said, you're probably going to see a lot of headlines tonight about the massive reversal on heavy volume. Things felt somewhat sold out, and I'll be honest, it kind of did. Did you have the speed? Did you have the capitulation? Did you have the craziness in the S&P or in the Qs or the spiders? Not really. And you didn't even have that in the high beta names. They were just grinding and grinding. So then the VIX didn't spike. So I don't know if this is the lows of 2016. I don't even know if it's the lows of January. But if you made some money trading the ranges today, congratulations. If you took a little long overnight, like you did on Thursday into Friday, like I did, and we're open down tomorrow, it is what it is, because you'd be just as upset if we're up 20 handles and you didn't take it home. So if you took some risk, tomorrow let's hope that maybe we're down 10 handles and can go green and it could be methodical, or it could be up 15 handles, a little follow through, and you can make a little extra money. But down 30, 40 handles tomorrow would definitely be not shocking, but not a lot of fun considering the type of reversal we had. And again, if you went home flat, probably the best thing you could have done, because these big ranges are more than enough to make your cash flow money until there's a little less danger out there. So it's Wednesday and it's hump day. Hopefully you're over that hump and had some decent action, and we'll be ready for here tomorrow morning. And have a good evening.